Next up in my printmaking supplies that I'm going to be offering is a paper sample pack, but it's paper samples in sizes that you could theoretically use. One of the things that can be really tricky about printing at home, especially printing by hand, is everything changes based on the ink that you use, the paper that you use, even the time of year, humidity level. So really having a stack of varying papers and things that you can try out and test out is really helpful. I am a sucker for sample packs. I really like them. I like to see why they're all put together and kind of test everything out. So this is quite literally my custom sample pack of all the papers that I like to always have in my studio. So assembling this paper sample pack had been on my to-do list since January, but if you've been following me, you'll see that I'm creating a lot of art. I work full-time and I'm just doing a lot of stuff all of the time. So assembling this just was not getting high priority from me. That is until one of my mutuals said that they were going to try and get some paper and wanted some recommendations. So I let them know that I have all of the stuff, I just hadn't assembled it. And if they were willing to have a very trial run, very rough version of it, so it's not all pretty and packaged and beautiful yet, that I would do a listing and they could get it if they were interested. And then I also let them know if they weren't interested, I would still just tell them all the papers. It's just hard to get this assortment without spending a lot more money. They ended up getting it, and then surprisingly, another person saw it, even though I hadn't been talking about it, and they also got it. So I ended up assembling 2 of these paper sample packs, which was really nice because even though I knew all the papers that I was going to include and roughly the sizes that I was going to offer in it, actually going through the physical process of tearing and assembling made it a lot more clear. Also, it made me realize just the sheer number of papers that I will use in my art and kind of the reasons behind each. An extra bonus for them is I actually hadn't done any math before doing the listing and just putting up a price. So they actually got an incredibly good deal. So the downside for them is it's not all pretty and perfectly packaged like I will hopefully someday do if I ever put the time towards it. But they did get a ton of paper at a really good price. And for each section, I did handwritten notes for kind of how I use them, what I like and what I recommend. Obviously, art and materials are pretty subjective. So that is to be taken with a grain of salt because once you start using them, it's always whatever fits best with your process. For all of the papers, I did 5 sheets of each in the same size. So that way people could do a tiny run, a tiny edition of things as they were testing things out. And there are a mix of Western style papers and Eastern style papers. Plus, I decided to include some book pages so that people could try that out for their cleanup process. For this initial set, I ended up doing some of my encyclopedia pages and then some from an old book that I got that was damaged at a thrift store. One thing that I try and remind myself, especially as I'm starting to sell these supplies, is it doesn't matter if it looks perfect when I initially put it out. I just need to actually get in the process of putting it out there. I can always work on making it look a little bit nicer, a little more polished. But if I don't actually start doing it, chances are I'm going to get distracted by the next idea that I want to do. These paper kits are something that I'm really excited about because it took a long time for me to try all of these papers and a lot of money, and I would rather other people don't have to do as much trial and error to kind of figure out what works best for them.